SweetpotatoSlim here, looking to share some blues knowledge. This is my first video in how to play the blues series, and what I want to talk about right here is the fretboard knowledge and kind of getting those blues patterns down. You see, the key to a fluent improvisational blues is really training your muscles and getting that muscle memory so that you can really, when you're getting into it, you're actually freeing your mind and not even thinking about what you're playing. But what it takes is a lot of hard work. Bruce Lee was fond of saying that he wasn't afraid of the man that practiced 10,000 kicks once, but he was afraid of the man that practiced one kick 10,000 times. And that's because that one man built up that muscle memory in what he was doing, and it became just an extension of his being. And that's what happens when you're playing the blues and when you're playing improvisationally, is that you're not thinking about where your fingers are going. They're just trained at this map. So what I've done, and the blues scale, I think a lot of people will tell you, is like the minor pentatonic, which what I play is predominantly minor pentatonic, but I also throw some major pentatonic in there. Now I could sit there and I could put this all on tabs for you, but I think it would be a little confusing. What I think is a better way to do it, and is what I've done here, is actually get these color-coded tabs. I went to Office Depot. You could go to Office Max. You could probably go to Kmart or Target or any office supply store and get these color-coded tabs. And what I've done is I've mapped out the blues scale that I use, and this is a pattern, mind you, but I've mapped this out in the key of A. So what I did is I took red dots and I put these all on the root notes, which are the A notes. So on the 6th string, it's the 5th fret. 4th string, it's 7th fret. 6th string, 5th fret, and then up here on the 2nd string, it's on the 10th fret. So this is the red notes are the root notes. That's the A note in the scale. And again, if you want to do this in G, you're coming down here to the 3rd fret, and you would do this. But for the purposes here, we're all doing this in key of A. Now, what I also did now is I took yellow notes, or yellow dots, and I marked the minor pentatonic scale on there. So, 3 frets up from the root on the 1st string. And then coming up to this part of the box. So you can kind of see here, and if you're going to follow along at home, you can put the dots on here. So that's the minor pentatonic, or these yellow notes. Now what I also did, because when I play, I throw in a lot of major notes from the major pentatonic scale, because it gives me a nice little bluesier feel. And I colored those in blue, and for some reason my right hand is shut down, but we're going to not worry about that on this video. So what we did here is we put the blue notes from the major pentatonic. So when you throw this into the minor, it gives it a nice bluesy tone. So as you can see, that they add the color, the blues color to it. But this gives you a nice visual representation of that fingerboard map, or that fret pattern. But a lot of times people will just sit there and try to practice the scale, just real head on, like. And I think that's okay for starting to get a basic knowledge of it, but it may be a little daunting when you're really trying to get that muscle memory feel. And what I always recommend is take it in chunks of 4, maybe two strings, and just focus first on that minor pentatonic. And play as many different patterns as you can. I mean, the key is to start training your body so where you're not looking at the notes. A good thing to do is, like when you're sitting around watching TV, just start playing around with little patterns within little chunks of this. So starting off on the first 2 strings, and then once you play that, maybe. And really not worrying about what you're playing as so much as you're worrying about where your fingers are going. It's basically like you're practicing a karate kick, or you're practicing your golf swing. Little elements, and then break it down onto another chunk on these, maybe the next 2 strings. And again, you're not trying to be a virtuoso here, but what you're just trying to do is get that ingrained into your muscle memory, so that you're familiar with this as we start to talk about some of the licks. So when I break down when I play that note, so you're going to kind of know the map that we're going along. But again, relying on these notes, you know, the cool thing about the blues and why I put the minor and the major together is it's kind of an ambiguous scale, but it adds color. And as we get, you know, into further discussions on, you know, how to approach solos and how to build tension and things like that, you can learn about, you know, how to play off the major tone versus the minor tone and things like that. But for the purpose, just you know, if you're focusing, try to focus mostly on these yellow and red notes for the minor pentatonic, and then occasionally throw in the blue notes. So something like that. And just, you know, again, it's playing around. You know, you see a baby when they learn how to talk, they make a lot of little noises like blah, bleh, you know, and different things. And that's all you're just trying to do here is learn the basic elements and the basic tones of the patterns that you're playing here. You know, and like I said, you're just trying to train that muscle memory on there. So I hope this has been a useful lesson. It's kind of the, you know, the first, you know, basic foundation of playing the blues. And I think before you start, you kind of have to get this part. The next video I want to focus on is you know, if you don't know how to play it fast, but there's some ways that you can do to make your playing more authentic, and we'll put some of those things together. But you know, to kind of want to leave you on this thought, I know I've been harping on building muscle memory, but it really is the key to this fluent improvisational style. When I was in college, I actually had a chance to go to Shanghai. My dad was doing a lot of business over there, and I accompanied him on a business trip. And I remember just walking around and kind of going to one of those little towns on the outskirts of Shanghai, and I saw this old guy. He's probably like 85, maybe 90 years old. And what was really weird or interesting or cool about it is that there was this big utility pole. I don't know if it was an electric pole or a telephone pole. But this guy was sitting here, and he would stand in front of this pole, and he would just kind of brush his head and slap it. Brush his head and slap this pole. And the scary thing is this pole on both sides had this indentation from where he was slapping it, probably for decades. And so kind of going back to that Bruce Lee saying, I probably wouldn't want to get in a fight with that guy because he would deck me with one big slap. So that's what you're trying to do here is ingrain that this finger pattern into your physical memory, and we'll take it from there.